7 Million Bikes, a Vietnam podcast. My name is Niall Mackay and I'm your host. This is season 6. Don't forget you can go back through the whole catalogue and find all 5 seasons of 7 Million Bikes. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications. Follow 7 Million Bikes on Facebook. Go on there and give it a like. We're also on Instagram. If you do enjoy this content, then please go on the link in the notes for patreon.com and you can become a member of a Vietnam podcast and you get some cool benefits like free tickets. You'll get early bonus content as well. If you just want to buy me a coffee, there's also a link in the show notes. You can send me a coffee as well. So thank you very much to the previous people that sent me coffees. They were very much enjoyed, so very, very much appreciated. Season 6 is sponsored by our good friends over at Eddie's New York Deli and Diner. If you are in Saigon, then make sure you go check them out. Tell them that 7 Million Bikes sent you. They got 2 locations now, one in D2 and one in District 1. And at the moment, they also have a pop-up diner in the Takashimaya Center in Saigon Center, which is only there until June 7th. So make sure you go and check it out because it may be the world's smallest diner. So make sure you go down there and check it out before June 7th. If you've seen the show Riverdale on Netflix, you'll know exactly what Eddie's is like. It's a slice of home comfort no matter where you're from in the world. Make sure you check out Eddie's New York Deli and Diner in D1, D2 and the Takashimaya Mall until June 7th. So enjoy 7 Million Bikes, a Vietnam podcast. My guest today is a singer, a vocal coach, a director, and a cheap therapist, she says. And she is French-Canadian, which we will explain. So my guest today is AnneSophie Hoffman. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
So you're French-Canadian. What does that mean?
So I was born in France, not in Paris, because I know everybody hates Parisian, but I was born in the suburbs. And I'm a nice French person, not one of the others. And I lived there till I was 17 years old, and then I moved to Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to study musical in a very good singing musical school. Like I was watching Fame, you know, the sitcom, the series on TV when I was young, and I was like, I want to do Fame one day. So I did Fame. I mean, the name of the school was Prochant, but it was like a Fame school in Montreal. And then I was going there for 1 year. My parents told me, okay, you have one joker year, and do whatever you want to do. Don't take drugs. And they didn't know I was going to stay forever. And
doing a lot of drugs.
And do a lot of drugs. I'm a singer. No, I'm kidding. Drugs are bad. And yes, and then we left Montreal with my husband, but I met my husband way later than that, 2.5 years ago to come here. So actually, yeah, the first half of my life was in France and second half in Montreal.
And the third half?
I'm not sure I'm going to do as long.
I'm just joking. There's no third half.
I don't know yet. For the moment, if COVID is still here for 10 years, yeah, maybe I will stay over than 10 years in Vietnam. We don't know.
Now, you said you're a nice French person and you had to put a disclaimer that you're not from Paris. So I find that people in France, okay, let me try and put this the best way I can. It's easy to make fun of French people. I think I have a joke that makes fun of French people, and the joke is normally that nobody likes them, which I think is not true because I've never met a French person that I didn't like, and I've met some really, really cool French people. So I never really know where that stereotype comes from of like French people being whatever the stereotype is. I don't want to say it. But then you also meet French people and they're super like, you know, they're, what's the word? Like self-deprecating, like you're like, oh, I'm not from Paris, I'm a nice French person. Where does that come from?
It comes from Montreal, I guess, because when I arrived in Montreal in 2002, I was kind of exotic. There was no so French people in Montreal, in Quebec. And then 2006, 8, 10, financial crisis, and immigration facilities like PVT is like permit, holiday and work. So you can come with this PV, I don't know in English, permit. And for 9 months, then they extended it for 12 months. So many French came. And they ruined everything because they came with their arrogance and but in Paris we do this and that, but okay, go back to fucking Paris. I mean, and that's what I was thinking because I was there for a very long time, but that was also the feeling of the Quebecers. They made the financial market go much higher, so the rent were much higher, the food in the groceries were much more expensive. So actually, and they were trying to Frenchish a lot of things. So it was good because we were able to find new products we didn't have before, but also they completely changed a district. It's not a district there, but it's a neighborhood, and they call it now the Little France. And it's not really, for example, when I'm even just before leaving, people, they didn't know I was there for almost 20 years. And when they were asking, where do you live? I said, the Plateau. And it's the neighborhood. And they said, oh, of course, the Plateau. Oh, let me guess, you live on the Plateau. And it was really bad for them. So I was like, no, I'm a good French. I'm Canadian, actually. I can vote. So, okay, don't put me in the same basket. But I think even there they like French, but it's always the same. When you have immigrants or foreigners coming to your country, you're like, hey, you're going to take my job. Go away. And people in marketing company, and I cannot say in the artistic world, it's not true. But in marketing company, they really like to hire French people because I guess it's just a different way to think. So yeah, in a way, they were stealing, between quotation marks, the jobs. It's a bit the same here. Here I heard it a lot, like, you here to steal our jobs. And I'm like, I think I'm really different. So we won't have the same offers, but okay, I understand the feeling. So that's why I say I'm French, but I'm not that French.
With the caveat. Well, we talked about it on the last season, and I think it was Eric Garcia coined the term that we should call Tao Dien in Saigon Little France.
Yeah. Yes. And when we arrived with my husband, is the same. He's French from Nice, the south of France, and we met in Canada in 2012, 13. So we lived.
Was that because you were out with a sign saying, I'm not Canadian, I'm French?
I have my French humor, but I don't have the arrogance, and I have all the French references. Yeah, they're arrogant. My brother is really fucking arrogant, yes.
This is what I think of. This is what the point I'm making is. It seems that everyone hates French people, and then even French people hate French people.
Yeah. And we don't have, I have two friends here. Okay? One French, one Quebecers. And the guy from Quebec is pretty Frenchy, actually, I have to say. I like being with French till a certain point. And it depends how long the French have been living in this country they're living now. The French in Taodine, I think, if they're here for 20, even 10, 12, 15, 20 years, they built it. They not designed, but people understood what they wanted, what were the needs. So that's why Taodine is so Frenchy, so friendly and welcoming for foreigners, especially French. On the restaurant, almost, I think maybe more than 50% of the owners of the restaurant are French. I know that because when I'm contacting a restaurant do you need a singer? A French person will call me back. So for me, it's good sometimes because between French, it's, are you French? I'm going to help you. And are you French? I don't like you. But we're like this in France. It's a bit weird to understand how we are. We can be super friendly, and if we are in a bad mood, we can be really, really bad. And I think the French, something I learned in Quebec was saying, I'm sorry, it's not for me. I need time for myself. Or, you know what? Let me think about it. So Canada gave me this, not detachment, but this time to, I'm going to say it again. I learned how to say, it's not good for me. Let me think about it. Instead of saying, yes, of course I can do it. I don't want to do it. I don't fucking want to do it. Da, 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 and be super mad about it. In France, you, maybe it was just me, but I couldn't say no because you don't want to be rude or impolite. And you're going to say, yes, I'm going to come to your party. Of course I'm going to come. And you don't want to go, but you don't want to be rude, and you don't want your friends to be offended. So you go, but you don't want to go. And before going, you're like, oh, I don't like her. And she's like this, and da-da-da, and da-da-da. Hey, hello, I'm so happy to be here. So I think we're a bit...
So two-faced.
Yeah. I think we're a bit hypocritical. Yeah. And that's the thing, we're not that much in Quebec. Because in Quebec, if we don't want, and even if it's 5 minutes before the party, you will text or you will call, you will say, you know what, I'm a bit under the weather today. Let me buy your lunch this week. I think I prefer to see you in in intimacy than... Yeah, so that's why sometimes it's just a bit overwhelming to hang out in Taodine, because everything you hear is French accent, and you're like, you cannot have a conversation because you are listening to what they're saying, and I didn't know there would be so much French people here.
See, I don't notice it so much, obviously, because I don't speak French. So when people do talk about Taodien's little France, or like you're saying 50% of the businesses are owned by French, like I don't see that because I'm not French. So to me, I walk about my head in the clouds half the time, I think.
I wish I could, but I understand what they say. Sometimes I really disagree, and sometimes I just want to bitch. Because if I understand them, it's because I'm out with my husband, my friend Marion, she's French, or Eric is Canadian, Quebecers. So because I don't go out by myself, and I always go out with this free person. Sometimes my friend Anaïs, she's also French, and that's it. So I'm gonna bitch because it's really close people to me.
But then you also know that then people are listening to your conversation.
Yeah, but I can speak like this.
Oh, you're speaking quietly so no one can understand you. I love that French people shitting on French people. There's people listening to this being like, yes. But I said in the beginning, like, I've never met a French person I don't like, but I don't understand these cultural nuances, so I don't see all of this two-facedness or bitchiness or whatever. But yeah, to me, I do make a joke about French people, though, that it's one of my favourite jokes that always gets a big laugh, and the joke goes that, because I'm from Scotland and we love to make fun of people in Scotland, and the more you make fun of people, it means you like them. So the more you make fun of them, the more you like them. And that's why I will never, ever make fun of French people.
And in France, okay, people will defend themselves saying, if I said that, it's because I like you. It's a joke. Come on, take it. But... yeah, I think we're a bit the master of irony and sarcasm in France. And I learned when I was in Canada, we call Canada, in France, we say bisounours, and in Canada, we say bears, the little bears, the colorful bears.
Colorful bears?
Teddy bears, candy bears. The thing on TV with the color. You don't know? Oh, shoot. Maybe
the Care Bear.
The Care Bear.
Care Bear.
We call them the Care Bears.
You call Canadians the Care Bears?
The Quebecers.
Oh, the
Canadian, I don't really know because I've been in Quebec. So
it's not the same, right?
I couldn't say. They say it's not the same, but no, I don't want to go in that pool. I don't know them enough. So in France, people are not Care Bears and bisounours, and they make fun of people who are a bit bisounours or Care Bears. And so we use a lot of irony and sarcasm to make fun of people, but not make fun in a good way, really make fun and to be bitchy and to hurt them. And then they're going to say, oh, you cannot take a joke. And I learned, and I used to do it a lot because I was super bullied at school and at home. So the way I was defending myself was, okay, I can answer you, you know? So I was super ironical and sarcastic when I was a teenager. And I was just hitting as strong as I was hit. Yeah. And I just learned to not do that in Quebec because I realized it was not something good to do to people you like, and it's not funny. It's just hurtful. And so I clearly think I became a better person in Quebec, but I was a teenager when I left. I was just 17 years old. So, you know, I don't know what I would have become in France. But yes, in Canada, I think I clearly became a good person.
I completely agree with what you're saying because, all right, so the joke I made there in Scotland, the more we make fun of you, I agree though. So in Scotland, it is very similar as well. And in the UK, that, you know, I used to go to football matches when I was younger. I grew up with like men drinking beer and going to football and things like this. And they all kind of, you know, make fun of each other. And yeah, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, like, it is hurtful and it is mean. And I actually didn't enjoy that side of things. So even though I use it in the joke, personally, I don't enjoy that kind of like, I'm going to say something mean, but I'm joking, you know, because I'm the same as you. I was bullied as well. And so I find that like really hurtful. And then I moved to America. So I moved to North America. And similar thing, I learned to kind of stop doing that because it's mean, right? And like they don't really do that in America. Like you don't like say mean things to your friends. I met one American, I remember we talked about this and they said, no, we do. But I don't think they do so much. I think it's less in America. I think it's more if you like said something mean to your friend, it'd be like, whoa, what did that was a bit uncalled for, you know what I mean? So I've learned to not do that. And even so, my wife is American. I'm laughing because she comes up in every episode and she listens to every episode and she's getting sick of being mentioned. So sorry, Adri, but you're brought up again. You're a big part of my life, so I'm obviously going to have to bring you up. But she's American, and when we first met, I would do that. I would like say things like to make fun of her, like teasing, not meaning it in a bad way or being mean. But she really didn't appreciate it. She didn't like that. And I had to learn to not do that because I'd be like, yeah, I mean, okay, so you don't like that, I won't do it. But I sometimes will fall into it, and I do when I'm with British people. So over the lockdown last year, if my friend Peter and Jill are listening, he's in the Scottish orchestra, and he had to do this like video. It was during the lockdown, the one of the many lockdowns, and the first one in the UK. And it was like for children or something like that, and some words of encouragement. And he's in his tuxedo because he's in the orchestra and stuff like that. And so I immediately sent him like this really mean poem, like. And my wife was like, "You can't send that. That's horrible." And I was like, "No, it's hilarious." And I sent it, and him and his wife messaged back. It's in a group chat, and they were like, "We are laughing so hard right now. This is the funniest thing we've heard in ages. We've already shared it with half the orchestra and stuff like that." So it does, you know, that to me showed the difference. That my wife is like, "That's so mean. Don't send that." And I knew it would be appreciated because they were my best friends. So it was sent with like love, you know, and so you can do that kind of stuff. But it is, yeah, it's difficult, I think, I guess there's a fine line between being bullying, being rude, and being funny.
It's control also, I think. And bullying is pretty new. Yeah, it's pretty new. And I have the feeling, and I know a lot of comedians have the same feeling anyway, we cannot say anything anymore. We cannot make fun of the thing we used to make fun. And I'm not going to give example because we can't. And I completely understand. And most of the time when I try to be more educated on certain question or society issues, when I try to understand why they feel attacked, those person who call themselves bully or I clearly understand and I can relate. And that it's just that at my time in the 90s, when I was a teenager, this word didn't exist at all. And it was normal to be a bit, not harassed, but a bit beaten at school verbally. And it was, oh, you have two big brother, it's normal. I mean, that's what they do to the little sister and da-da-da. No, it's not fucking normal. I mean, I'm completely fucked up now. but that's it. And yes, it's control, of course. Some people in Quebec, they can handle and practice irony and sarcasm, but it's pretty rare, I have to say.
So you moved to Quebec to study music, and then so now you're a performer, you're a teacher, you're a director as well. So tell us more about how then your career has progressed, and how was it? You moved to Quebec when you were 17. That's difficult when you're that young.
Yes, as I said before, it was a Joker year, and I wanted to be the next Céline Dion. And it was already too late because she started when she was 12. So I was already past the due date. But I studied in that great school, and really quick, I worked in that school at the beginning at the office, answering the phone, and then I've spent 13 years in this school, working and becoming a vocal teacher, and then a director and a choreographer, and then the producer of all the events, and etc. And also I had like a parenthesis in this 13 years because I had my singer career. I recorded an album when I was 22, 23 years old. And I toured a little bit in Quebec with that album and my band. And unfortunately, it was at the beginning of Star Academy. So Star Academy is the ancestor of The Voice and X Factor. It was, and then on the producing music company were all signing with Star Academy artists. So I really tried to have a career in those years where there was no room for, how to say?
Talent.
Yeah, there was room for talent because they were super talented, but no room for people that didn't go on TV. Because you don't sell. When they don't know you, you don't have a name, and And then I also realized that at some point they didn't really want to hire for musical French over Quebecers or Canadian because of what are they going to say and da. So it was a bit, I learned so much, and I had a good career with what I was able to do. I didn't have a manager, I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a disc company. I did everything by myself. And then I went on tour with the Cavalier, which is a like Cirque du Soleil style show with the horses. And I did many cities all over United States. And I thought my career would be like, okay, I'm going to come back in Montreal and everybody will know that, oh my God, she did Cavalier. It's a huge show. It's like Cirque du Soleil. And actually not at all. So I went back to Canada. I was like, oh, and I went back to Canada after US tour. Star Academy was over, but The Voice started. I was like, argh! And I don't like this kind of shows. I don't like it because it takes... A lot of my friends did the audition, made it through on the steps and were on TV. All of them were on depression after that. All of them. And I knew I didn't have the shoulders to handle the pressure, not the pressure of being on stage, no problem with that, but the storytelling you have to keep, the face you have to keep, and you have to play the violin to the audience.
Yeah,
and you have
it's always
to...
the same with these shows. Even some of the like cooking shows or whatever, you like MasterChef, you always have to have a story, right? It's like, oh, my grandmother's dying of cancer. I know it's really horrible. I shouldn't joke about that, but they always have some sob story. And I'm not like a cynical person, but I'm also at the same time, I'm like, everyone has problems. Everyone has a story. There's no one I know that couldn't come on TV and share something horrible in their life. And it's so formulaic, and it's always the same. The music starts, do, 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 and it's them looking into the distance, explaining about how their younger sister has some disease and things like this. And yeah, always pulling at the heartstrings. And it doesn't even matter just if it's like a music show, it's almost any like reality TV show. But it's, you've made me realize, like, we've lived through a huge generational shift that you sometimes forget about. I always think when I talk sometimes with people, it's like, well, we've grown up with the invention of the internet. We're one of the last generations that grew up without the internet, mobile phones, smartphones, home computers. Add to the list bloody talent shows as well, because when we were growing up, they didn't exist. I mean, I remember the first one in the UK was Pop Idol, which was before American Idol. And yeah, the first one was great. Was it Gareth Gates? Someone can correct me, but I think it was Gareth Gates won it. This cute little 17-year-old. He was a great singer. He got really famous really quickly, and it was cool. But then there's like another one, then another one, then there's The Voice, then there's American Idol, then there's and it's like it's all the same stuff. And you realize there's so many talented people in the world, but they can't all be famous.
That's it. And what do they become after that instant fame?
And it doesn't really last, right?
That's
you see them doing like mall appearances.
Yeah, and it's
like
very sad because, I mean, singing is singing. I love to sing in a bar, in a restaurant. I love to sing for 2 people, for 2,000 people. But at some point, you don't want to be a plant in a corner. You don't want to be just, and you don't want to be just a product, but that's what you are in our industry now. And you remind me, yes, I didn't know how to use YouTube because I could have put my album and videos on YouTube, but it was the beginning, the very beginning. And yeah, I didn't know how to use... Now? No, not even. I'm not even trying. I think I gave everything I could give. It's going to sound a little bit sad, but I don't have the fire anymore.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I always feel a little bit emotional when I'm saying that. It's not sad. I made my day. When you lose somebody, what is the word?
Grieve?
Yes, I made my grief of that. It's okay. My career is different now, and I like it, and I'm very happy and lucky to be able to do it, especially now when all my friends in Montreal, they are like dying. It's awful. I mean, Broadway is closed, and it's going to open back in September, but Broadway has been closed for more than a year. I mean, the artistic industry is awful, and I can still live from my passion, but I think I know how to play the game. I know I should use Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and put myself in sceneries and but and sing and record myself and do faces and put filters and oh my God, I just don't want to do that. I just want to sing. I know it sounds naive because it's not possible anymore. You cannot just do that anymore. So what I do now is, and I love it, is I teach my passion as not, I will say it pretty naively again, as naked as I can, because it shouldn't be about likes on Facebook, on Instagram, and followers and It should be about have confidence and just blossom. And all my students, when they come, and I have teenager and adults, and I can see it brings a big difference in their lives. And it brought a big difference in my life too, in my 20s. And it's musicotherapy. That's why I said I'm a cheap therapist, because I'm cheaper than a therapist. Okay, I don't have the degree, but I went to a therapist for 7 years, so I can give some good advice. Singing, dancing, painting, acting, going on stage and performing, it's a therapy, I should say. And I'm happy to help people to do that, because I think it's important. I know it's nothing compared to a heart surgery doctor. Okay, we're just singing, but luckily we can sing and we can do something affordable to anybody to feel better.
This season, we are proud to be partnered with and sponsored by Eddie's New York Deli and Diner. They are one of my favorite places to go in Saigon. You're always greeted with a big smile. You can get delivery from Eddie's. They are the delivery experts. So if you don't want to leave the house, hit them up on Facebook Messenger. They'll get back to you immediately. Or you can also get them on Grab as well. As I said, I've been going to Eddie's since they've opened 3 years ago. It is one of my go-to places in Saigon. So please check it out. And I understand what you mean about what you're saying is you've left that part behind. So when you're saying about not putting it on YouTube or not being on Spotify, and you've kind of grieved for that part of your career, is that if I'm right in understanding? But I can appreciate that and understand how it's kind of been and gone, and it's compartmentalized, and it's, you know, is that kind of like, am I understanding that right? Like you feel like you've moved on from that part of your career, and it's what it is, and now you've moved on to something different. So it's still there, but it's not present anymore.
It's still there. Yeah, it's still present. It depends. It really depends. If I have an opportunity, I will be like, yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to sing on stage and da-da-da. And then I will realize, you don't need to do that. I mean, I wish I could just sing and live with the happiness and fresh water, but I need to be paid also sometimes. Yeah. So sometimes people ask me for gigs and I'm like, there is some gigs you do for the love, for the passion, and some gigs you will accept for the money.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes it's just not enough money to say no. I'm sorry. No, and sometimes it's nothing or completely free, but you do it with musician you like, and because you miss the relation with your musician. It's been a long time since you didn't sing live with a musician. So you say, you know what? Yes. And actually I feel good with that. And I don't feel good when I'm asked for a super cheap price because they don't understand who they are. Who am I? It's not who am I in that way.
No, but it's what your skill is.
I'm a professional.
Yeah. And I think it's common with artists worldwide that, and this includes like photographers. One of the things that I often see is in different Facebook groups or whatnot, and it's a similar thing where someone will approach a photographer, or I've seen a friend in the States, he's got a dance troupe, and he posted a rant, I remember a few years ago, and he's like, don't ask me to do a show for exposure. Yeah, like that's a big thing, right? And photographers get it all the time as well. Like, do you want to come and shoot this thing and it'll be good exposure for you? And it's kind of known, I think, within a lot of people in the art world, if someone is offering you free exposure, they just want you to do something for free. And that exposure is not real. It was not going to pay the bills, right? Like that's what this rant was like. Your exposure is not going to like feed me. It's not going to pay for the gas to get to the location. It's not going to like pay my electricity bill. It's not going to pay for the hours of rehearsal that has gone into this show. So it's same as well with comedy. So I run comedy shows all over Saigon, all over Vietnam now, actually. And it's a constant dialogue. And I try my very best to work with the venues because I know they need to make money as well. But I try and make them understand that we need to be paid as well. So for a lot of this is a discussion I have often now, is our art form needs to be paid for, because I think every artist from whatever walk of life would probably tell you, people think because it's your passion or your hobby that you should do it for free, which is again one of these things like, so what, a nurse should work for free because she's passionate about helping people, so a doctor shouldn't be paid because they want to help save your life. Like, it makes no sense that you think because it's someone's passion or art that they don't deserve to be paid for it. And like you say, you're not bigging yourself up like, look who I am. You have a trained profession that has a value. And if someone's going to give you an offer to perform that's undervalued, then you're well within your right to say, oh, thanks, but no thanks.
I prefer them to be frank. Like, you know what? We would love you. We would love to have you, but we don't have that. Just to be frank. And because, yes, I can say yes. It just, this whole game, not only in Ho Chi Minh City or in Vietnam, but this whole game of, you're just singing. Come on, I'm going to give you free drinks. But I don't drink. No, okay, you have a free meal, but I'm allergic to everything on your menu. So, we need to pay everything. And about the photographer guy. And the gear, what about the gear? Okay, you want a good photo shoot? So do you think I'm going to take a picture with my iPhone? No, I'm bringing everything. So they don't know, and and that's why I said I grieved. I'm over it, but I'm not over it. I think it will never leave me. When I say I'm over it, I know I'm not going to be in the next Celine Dion. This, I understood it pretty soon.
I mean, do you know who Susan Boyle is?
Oui, yes.
Susan Boyle got famous and she was probably a lot older than you.
Yeah, sure.
So you never know.
You never know.
But she did go on a talent show, to
That's
be honest.
it. She did go there.
So maybe at one point, we're going to see you in 10 years, AnneSophie Hoffman on Instagram, TikTok, on the Vietnam Voice.
Maybe.
Super famous.
Maybe. It could be an accident.
But so let's then extrapolate that. Do you think that could be a possibility? Because you never know, like, even for me as a comedian, I don't think, and I'm not really planning to be a famous comedian, but I look at someone like Ricky Gervais. He didn't start stand-up till he was 38, which is the same age as me. So there's no real like limit, like on what, especially with comedy. It's not like a sport, so you can do it when you're older. So, you know, there's still time for... I don't want to be famous. I guess successful would be, if I could be a successful comedian or podcast host, that would be good. That would be a good measure. But for you then, do you think, could you see yourself, say in 10 years time, that you get seduced by the dark side and suddenly a friend says to you, hey, AnneSophie, I really want you to be on the Vietnam Voice. We think you'd be amazing, but you're going to have to share some of your personal story and you need to get an Instagram and maybe we're going to get a TikTok, but you're going to get a record deal? What do you do?
Why not? Because now I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm 36. I'm married. I'm not just a singer. That's, again, I'm getting emotional when I said that because I remember the day I said to my therapist, and I'm going to take my therapist voice, when I don't sing, what am I? I'm nothing. I'm just a singer. I'm nothing. And I was single at that time. And sometimes I still saying to myself, and especially with that last year when I lost all my gigs and I lost my relationship with my musician and on the musician all over the world, I was not in trouble. My husband is working. We're good. But I was suffering for all those artists all around the world because it's visceral. Yeah, I mean, it's something physical. And I would live it differently now because I know I'm not just a singer and I'm not 20 anymore. And maybe I will have more distance. And telling my story, I think, in Vietnam would be different than telling my story in Canada and France because my parents won't watch the Vietnamese TV. No, but because
so you would do the Vietnam voice, but not the Canadian voice.
And I think also, you know, in Canada and in France, what can I bring? I'm tall, I'm blonde, I'm blue eyes. I have a good voice, a strong voice. I'm a good interpret. But so all the girls around me in the audition room in Vietnam, I'm clearly different. So it's playing in my favor since we've been here. Of course, they want the blonde one, they want the tall one. Recently, I've been told I was too old. I was like, oh shit. So
you
blonde.
Never want to hear that. You never want to hear that.
No, blonde and blue eyes is not enough anymore. Oh la la. So yes, maybe.
You would be seduced by the dark side then. Everyone's got a limit.
I think maybe not seduced, but maybe, okay, let's give another try. You won't die of it. And yeah, why not? I don't think seduced because I know I will need somebody to take care of all this Instagram.
You need to hire social media.
Yeah. Instagram, TikTok.
I got onto Instagram late. I've only just started a 7 Million Bikes Facebook immediately and didn't really do an Instagram for a while. But now I'm getting into it and I quite enjoy it. And there actually is get more of a reaction on Instagram. And then I thought about TikTok and a couple of people suggested it. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing TikTok. Because then I found out just a couple of weeks ago, the target audience or the age of the people who use TikTok are aged like 12 to 16 or something like that. And I was like, that's not my target audience. So I'm not going to use TikTok. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yesterday I watched something pretty funny on TikTok because my husband is on
you
TikTok.
have TikTok?
No, my husband is on TikTok. Actually, he created an account and he told me, I'm going to handle it. Yeah, I'm going to do video of you. That's how it works here. You need a TikTok. And I was like, no. So he put it on my phone. So now I have some notification of, I don't know what.
You're
never
already being seduced by the dark side. Go on.
No. My husband did it, and he called me. AnneSophie, the singer of Saigon. It's like the more boring name. I was like, okay, because Cassie's singer was already taken or whatever. So anyway, he sends me sometimes a TikTok video, and what I like on TikTok is on the animals video because I love dogs. So that's my drug on if I go on Instagram, because I have an Instagram, because at some point I tried like 2 years and a half ago, and I was just bleh, after 24 hours. So if you see on my Instagram, there is 4 pictures from 2 years and a half ago. There is nothing. But I take my account because my very good friend, she is on Instagram she's very active. And I wanted to listen to her story and to know what she was talking about, to be interested in what she was doing. So I use Instagram just to look at her, some nail things and dogs.
Yeah,
That's my happy place, that the dogs.
I mean, so we have a dog as well. That's how we met. And so we have a French bulldog, and even to this day, my wife's Facebook, if I ever look over her shoulder, is just filled with French bulldogs and dogs. And so even though we have a French bulldog who sometimes is sitting next to her,
we need to see more.
She's still looking at dogs on Instagram or Facebook. It's insane.
My husband said, "Oh, you do your puppy porn."
Puppy porn.
So I watch a lot of puppy porn.
I don't think I've heard that phrase before.
You can use it. Yeah, I watch a lot of puppy porn. Yeah, and that's how I can handle life. I know I'm not too old for this social media because my husband is on it. He's way older than me. But I have a thing with fakeness. Can we say fakeness is the word? And I think we are living in a fake world. And it's not just with my... Yeah, it's not who I am. I'm singing my emotion, I'm singing my happiness, my sadness, my angriness, everything. And that's what I teach. And that's what I've been doing for years. And maybe I'm wrong. It's clear I'm wrong. I should have taken the other path, the fake path, and played the game like everybody. Maybe I would have been successful or whatever. It's just not who I am. So that's why I grieve that part, and because I cannot handle it. I will be miserable. I will have to take Xanax and Zoloft and Prozac every day, and a mix of everything to just playing that role that is not for me.
No, I'm on social media, but I don't think I'm very good at it. I don't have like a massive following, but I do. The 7 Million Bikes Facebook recently went over 1,000 followers, which was a big benchmark, but it's still not that many. But which I read recently in the marketing world that you're a nano influencer, which means nothing. I mean, you don't need. It's not like you're getting anything for that. But I was talking about this just recently with my wife. So, I've been doing this podcast 2 years now. I've been doing comedy for nearly 2 years, and it's all been largely positive. And recently did a YouTube video with Nguyen Mai, and I looked at it the other day, and there were all these comments. So I just automatically read the comments on her YouTube video of an interview with me. And again, everything was positive, all really nice. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. But then I realized, and this is what I was talking to my wife about, I'm not mentally prepared yet for like a backlash, And I remember thinking about it 2 years when I started, being like, okay, you're about to do something that puts you out in the public, whether it's 10 people or 100 people. Are you going to be okay with like dealing with that? And so luckily, as I said, it's all been largely positive. I haven't had to deal with that. But and I said to my wife, maybe I shouldn't do that. Then maybe I just read the comments. I'm like, oh yeah, and it's all good. But maybe I just shouldn't, because that one time where it's going to be maybe something negative or somebody says something bad. And as you maybe know as well, and I hate to call myself a performer or a creative person, but I guess I am. It's what I've developed into. I never thought of myself like that. And you see people like that and you think, well, you must be so confident because you can go up on stage or you can be an actor or whatever. But they're very well known that people who are in those roles have very thin skins. Now, I don't think I've got a thin skin, but I'm a sensitive soul. So if, like I said, it hasn't happened yet, but if I was to get that one negative comment, like I would be distraught. I would be like not able to concentrate. I wouldn't be able to sleep. Like I'd get over it, but it would really emotionally and physically affect me. So I was saying to my wife, and this just happened last week, I was like, I think maybe if anything like that again, whether it's a YouTube video or the podcast doesn't have comments, but anyone could send a message, and please do if you want to say something nice, send a message. But I was like, maybe I just shouldn't read the comments then if I do something like that, and then just don't worry about it, because you also don't need the positive to feed your narcissism or your ego to be like, oh, look at all these amazingly nice things. Like just do what you do, like you say, be authentic. Don't worry about what people are saying, positive or negative. So that's something for me. I think that ties into what you're saying about not being on social media. As soon as you do put yourself out there, then that you're exposing yourself and opening yourself to that, which is terrifying.
Yes. And we said at the beginning, we were bullied.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a trigger.
Yeah.
It's a big trigger. And I was sick for more than 10 years because of the reason I was bullied. And then I turned this into a disease. I just don't want to go back there. So and you see, your podcast is on Facebook, but not you. I know your podcast, it's you. I know it's you, I understand. But still, people, when you read bad comments or good comments, you will make a slight difference between the podcast and the page and you. And in my case, it's me, with my face, with my wrinkles, with my weight, with everything. So it's something I have to deal with in the mirror every day. And that's why I don't want to play with that, because it's too dangerous for me. I don't want to go again in through my 20s. I mean, no. So, but yes, that's a big risk. So now I just need to find a good balance with that. But I'm always happy because it means I'm going to sing with my pianist, and they are so good. I mean, for my musician, they're not mine, but they're so good, and I miss them. And there is a complicity that you cannot have just singing in your room with your karaoke. And yeah.
What are your thoughts on the karaoke machines on the street corner? Have you ever joined in?
It's just noise.
I don't get it. I just don't understand when you walk by either a home or someone on the corner here in Vietnam and they're just wailing. I'm like, how is this enjoyable to you? How is it enjoyable to anyone else? Like, I'm a terrible singer. And when I sing along to some of my favorite songs, I hear myself and I will stop because I'm like, this is so bad. Like, I am so terrible.
No, but the thing is, I don't care if people are terrible singer. The most important is do they like it? Do they feel good when they sing? What is bothering me a lot is they don't know how to use a microphone or a karaoke machine.
Yeah.
The reverb.
The reverb, oh my God. So I'll tell you the biggest problem. Not problem. This is, so sorry to cut you off there. Talking about the biggest problem, if anyone who doesn't live in Vietnam, in the karaoke machines here, people love karaoke. They have their own personal karaoke machine. They play it in their homes on the street corner. They have the sound up to maximum, but they also have the reverb, the echo up to maximum. Now, every single comedy show I do, the first thing I have to do is check the reverb because it's always up to maximum. And I go to like some nice venues, so it's not like people are doing karaoke there, but someone must be doing something, because every time the reverb is up to maximum. And then I spend, sometimes the last gig we did, I spent 5 minutes trying to find the correct, because there was like 2 reverb knobs. And so I was like, why is this still echoing? I've got this at 0. And then we found the other one eventually. It's insane, right?
Completely. And you know what? When I do big events, like huge events for TV and
they don't still have the reverb up, do they?
Yes, no. They don't know how to use it. And you're like,
it's
okay,
so
my salary is that price. It's good.
Yeah.
The gear in the room, it's approximately this budget. the lights, the screen, how many hostess we have. It's not cheap.
But the reverb is up to
and they don't know. And you think they're going to send engineer, send engineer. No. I don't know who they send, the driver, the delivery guy. I don't know. And it's like, is it okay? No, too much reverb. And then, is it okay? It's the same. And then we finally get to the point, oh, it's perfect. Thank you. And sound check is over. And when I come on stage, and I'm singing with myself, we're doing a trio. There is 3 AnneSophie singing because the sound is just bouncing everywhere. And you're like, oh my God.
You read a show again last month, and it was, I think I hadn't checked it properly. So I went up on stage and I did my set, and the echo was up, and it was so off-putting because I'm trying to do my jokes and talk, and at the same time I can hear my voice bouncing back to me. So yeah, it's terrible. Now, we're going to move on now to because we could talk all day, and I'm really enjoying this, but we'll move on to the final questions of the podcast. But before we do that, this season is sponsored by Eddie's New York Deli and Diner, which I was there this week, and your face lit up there. Now, I have it on good authority that you like their pancakes.
Alors, I don't want to say no, but I'm allergic to dairy products, so I like pancakes, but I cannot have them. But my husband.
As your husband?
My husband.
When I told him that I was going to be interviewing you for the podcast, he said, oh, she loves our pancakes, but it's not you. It's your husband. It's Yann.
I love the place because when we discovered it was few weeks or months after we arrived. And it was just like the diner in Montreal. And the American diner, and after coming in before coming in Vietnam, we spent 3 months and a half in France. It was tough. And then we really needed American culture fix because France and then Vietnam, the cultural shock, the slap in the face, and then Eddie's. It was good. I'm really sad I cannot have the meal check. I cannot have half of the menu because of my allergies. But we like to go there, and the owner is super friendly with a ultra bright smile. He's from California and is really
from Minnesota.
But he used to live in California, right? No,
maybe I don't know.
Am I mistaken?
We'll find out.
Yeah, we have to
I'll
go back.
message him right now.
Yeah, and. He's very welcoming. And he hired me to sing for a special dinner also. So he gave me my chance, my opportunity.
What was it called again?
Table chef.
Table chef. That's not tabletop. Table chef. Yeah, that's right.
So that was nice to him to give me.
We're very lucky to have them. They're sponsoring season 6, and it is one of my favorite places to go to. I'm not being paid to say that. I go there often. What is your favorite thing to order then? Because you can't. The menu is so massive. So hopefully they've got something for you.
Yes, I often have the salmon in a how do they call that? Not the gravlax salmon, but it's like the English muffin that don't have.
Lox?
Oui, the lox. So they don't put the sour cream, and they will do something a bit special to not let the bun too dry. So they will remove all the butter. And sometimes I ask for an omelette. And sometimes, they put milk in the preparation to make it a bit fluffy. And they do a special omelette for me on the side. So I like a lot of things there. And the Shelley's menu, the vegetarian menu, I cannot have the burger because of the bun, but they make me a burger with lettuce. So no bun, but I can have the patty, the vegetarian patty in the lettuce.
A lettuce wrap? Yeah, that sounds pretty nice.
So I can have twice French fries because I didn't have the bread.
Awesome, folks. So make sure you check out Eddie's if you're in Saigon. We're obviously at the moment going into a bit of a lockdown situation here in Saigon. So if you do need delivery, they are on point with their delivery service. They are the delivery experts. So check them out on Facebook. Order direct, but you can also get them on Grab as well. So check them out. So we're going to move on to the final questions of the podcast. I ask these same questions of every guest on season 6. Now, I have to make a correction because for several episodes for a while now, since the beginning of season 5, obviously, I don't know if you know. Do you know why the podcast is called 7 Million Bikes?
Because there is more than 7 million bikes.
There you go.
Now there is maybe 11.
I think 8.5 the last
Eight and a
I
half?
went.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I started, there was over 7. I love it when people ask me. I get asked all the time at comedy shows, and when I meet people, like, why is it called 7 million bikes? It's always a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've expanded now to become a Vietnam podcast. We used to be called a Saigon podcast. So I looked up the numbers for the amount of motorbikes in Vietnam. And I'd been quoting that there was 45 million motorbikes in Vietnam, which is one of the highest in the world. Now, I run a quiz night as well. And last night I made this one of the quiz questions. So I looked into it to make sure I got the answer correct. I was wildly off. Since that quote of 45 million, which was in, I think, 2017, they have been selling on average 8,300 motorbikes per day in Vietnam. So the last statistics I could find was from the end of 2019. Guess how many motorbikes are in the whole of Vietnam at the moment? Registered motorbikes.
Oh, registered.
Yeah, that's the official statistic.
No, I don't know. 100. I don't know. Tell me.
63 million. For a population of 90, it's the 4th highest motorbike ownership in the world.
It's crazy.
And we see it on the street.
Yeah.
But this question sort of changed it because now as Vietnam's wealth is growing, which as we've talked about, Thao Dien, Little France, there's a lot of wealth there. And you see some ridiculous cars. And the example I've been giving is the bedazzled Mercedes that I saw, which blew my mind. And it's mixed bag. Some guests I've interviewed already like it. Some people are as aghast as me. But for you, what's the most, I don't want to say disgusting, but what's the craziest car you've seen here in Saigon?
I saw the picture you post. I was like, oh my God, okay, he's the winner. He's the winner. I have done, in my neighborhood, a Mercedes pink, like really chewing gum pink, like a
Barbie pink?
Yeah, Barbie pink with a golden, how do we say, wheel caps.
Hubcaps.
And and the woman going out of it, it was pretty low. The car was pretty low, and it was a bit hard for her to get out of it. Also because the dress was maybe too tight and the high heel. It was Barbie and her car. So it's pretty funny. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's another culture.
Yeah, cultural difference.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another cultural difference. Have you tried durian?
No, it's okay. You know that these sweet square bonbon candies from the Mekong? Okay, so
the coconut candies.
Yeah, coconut candies,
like
and there is some durian flavor.
I've tried it. Yeah.
It's okay, but the fruit, no way. Last day I was swimming under the water, out, and somebody was eating durian on the balcony, and I was like, oh. Shoot. So I did all my laps under the water. Just once in a while I was breathing. But I was, no.
Nearly kill yourself, nearly drown yourself just
because
so you
of
don't have to
durian.
smell
Yes,
that
exactly.
It is that pungent, yeah. I'm not a fan. I've got a video, maybe I'll post it. I've got a video of me trying it for the first time and I spit it out.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I can't do it. All right. So moving on. We're talking about cultural differences. What's something that happens in Vietnam that would be looked at strangely in your home country or another country?
So many things. First, and it's not original, I know, but is being 5 on a motorbike, okay. But being 5 or 4 with a newborn baby, with the head still soft, the fontanelle, I don't know in English, the head, still soft. You can do quickie. You can.
I guess it can't break when it falls.
It's bad. It's bad. You don't do that.
Do you find how long have you been in Vietnam?
2.5 years.
Yeah. So do you find the longer you're here, those things that seeing a newborn baby on a bike, which again, for anyone who's listening that's not in Vietnam, this is a normal occurrence that you see almost on a daily basis, is a family of 3, 4 or 5 on one small, and it's not a motorbike, it's a scooter, on a scooter with a newborn baby. Do you find that the longer you're here, when you see things like that, it doesn't faze you? You're just like, oh yeah, it's normal.
Yes. It's not normal. It's dangerous, but it's normal here.
Yeah, and
so
sometimes
now you see things, we see things, and we're like, but just, okay. It's
you're
Vietnam.
Not as shocked, right?
No. I'm not as shocked as before. And I'm repeating to myself a lot. every day, it's Vietnam, it's Vietnam, it's Vietnam. Sometimes it's just I'm smiling, and sometimes I'm so jaded. I'm like, oh my God, this country. But I'm happy to live here. We're lucky, but
this is what everyone feels, I think, and maybe even local people as well who've lived here their whole life and born here. There's this dichotomy of like, it's crazy, but it's amazing. It's crazy, but it's amazing. And for anyone who's ever visited here, or for all the people listening who live here, we all know how this feels. There's this thing about Vietnam, there's this energy, and it's amazing. And so we don't want to make fun of Vietnam, but there are so many things that happen here that do happen in other countries. I know it's not only Vietnam. I know that people tell me you go to India and things like that, you'll see equally crazy things. So it's not just Vietnam, but there are a lot of things that go on here, like a newborn baby on a bike, and you're like... But then there's also, I always try and look at things from different perspectives. And at the same time, well, this family can't afford to get a taxi home is basically what it is, right? I mean, if that family could afford a car with protective gear around them, if they could afford to pay for a taxi even. So, like, I know I don't want to sound like an asshole and I'm making fun of people. I do understand that if they're on a bike with a newborn baby, it's probably because they can't afford to get a taxi. But at the same time, maybe I'm being too nice, because I think then maybe they can. I don't know.
Same. We are in a developing country, and there is a lot of
poverty.
Yes, and so yes, we have to remember that every day, because we are not living in poor apartments. We are not eating every day in the street for 10K. We are, etc. We see it, and sometimes we can forget it. So it's good to remember that maybe they cannot afford, but also yes, they can afford, and it's just their habit, and it goes faster, and and you can go the wrong direction on the highway, and etc. So it's a mix.
So conversely, then, cultural differences, which happen all over. What is something that happens in your home country that would be looked at strangely in Vietnam?
Again, many things, because we are not better than others. It's just cultural differences. The weather. So in winter, no, we don't go in Canada. We don't go to school with the dogs and the sleigh. Okay, we don't do that. We don't go to school with a skidoo. We do that. They do that not in Montreal, not in big cities, but yes, they do that in suburbs. And what we do that could be really weird, we walk on frozen lake, and we ski, and we skidoo on, it's the motorbike on the snow, the skidoo. It's like sea-doo, but it's skidoo because they have skis, and you take this big machine, and you know what I mean. What do you call, like a jet ski, but it's for snow. For snow, I know what you mean. Yeah, so it's like the skis on the front. Yeah. And they call them a skidoo. Yes, skidoo. Okay. And we use it on frozen lake, big frozen lake. And sometimes we're crazy like that. We're gonna take a tour to cut a hole on the lake. We're still standing on the lake, and we're gonna fish under the frozen lake, under the ice. And that's it. It's a bit crazy for people from Asia. Yeah, they have never seen snow or ice. And you're like, yes, that's us with a lot of clothes, some kind of clothes you wear when it's 10 degrees outside. But for us, it's when it's minus 30. And we fish under the ice. I think it's something, what? Unbelievable. Well, there was a good answer to this question from Mikachu, who is French-Russian. And the thing that would be considered strange is la bise. Ah, oui. Sure. Because you imagine if she made the point, I thought it was great. Imagine if you showed up in Vietnam and you just gave someone the kiss on each cheek. They'd be like, what are you doing? So that's because Vietnamese people are really tactile. They touch you all the time. Oh, we had the discussion that we think it's the opposite. Yeah, I feel like that not so much. I've been touched a lot. You've been touched a lot. Yeah. I don't get touched very much. But now I'm a bit tan. But at the beginning I was super white, so I was touched and a lot, and a lot of pictures and etc.
I've heard people have these experiences. I have a lot of black friends that have had these experiences
yes.
more so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pasty white, but I don't really I've never been asked for pictures or touched very much, which is...
Don't take it
No, I
personally.
won't take it personally. Now we'll move on to the very last question is, what advice would you give to yourself before you came to Vietnam?
I know it sounds like duh. We came to live in a very different country, and this country is not the same when you live in that the one you visited. When you're a tourist, you have stars in your eyes and everything is wow. You see, it's so different. It's crazy. They drive with babies on a motorbike. Wow. And all the smells. And when you leave, it's like, oh my God. And it's so hot and humid. So it's like, you didn't make the difference between visiting and living? No, I didn't. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock at the beginning, like, oh my God.
I love that. It's so true. Yeah, I mean, because I came as a tourist, first of all. And then when you live here, yeah.
It's different.
Totally different. So what would your advice be to yourself?
Don't be naive. It's always the advice. No, the advice is try to adapt and understand. Don't try to fight. Don't try to fight.
So any other advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, bring maple syrup. Because here it's American maple syrup. It's not good. It's, for the French listener, it's jus de poteau. It's like a pole juice. So it's not from the tree. Yeah, it just, no.
Oh, because real maple syrup's super expensive, right? Because it's from the tree. Whereas the American stuff is like maple
American
flavored.
stuff is from maple flavored, not from the tree. And the one we find in Annam, Joe maple syrup, no. Okay, that's the trick if you really need a fix. But we came with some cane. No, we have before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we have
you remember that before the pandemic?
Yeah, we had some
ago?
friends from Canada visiting, and they brought 2 cans of maple syrup, and we went to Hades with our maple syrup.
You took your own maple syrup. It's the most Canadian thing I've
That's
ever
it.
heard.
And they ask us, do you want maple syrup? We said,
No.
No. We have ours.
It's the most arrogant French Canadian thing ever. No.
No.
We have our own maple
We
syrup.
have the real deal.
All right. So we're going to finish up. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I've had a blast. I have one question to ask. One of the things I saw on your Facebook video, which I was very impressed with, was your vibrato singing. Am I saying that properly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you give us an example of that?
Just like this, it's not going to be nice. Just a vibrato?
Go on, yeah.
Okay.
Or you can give us any example of your singing, because I've heard you on YouTube, and not YouTube, because you're not on YouTube. I've heard you on Facebook sing.
I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, you do. You're obviously trained. You are an unbelievable singer. So give us an example.
Thank you. At last, my love's come along, a lot of vibrato. My home is over. Oh my God, I'm intimidated. I'm shy. I swear. And love is like a song. At last.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And last of all, sorry, before we go, tell people where can they get in touch with you? How can they hire you if they want a vocal teacher or a cheap therapist? Let's qualify that though. She's not an actual therapist, but teaching you singing is a form of therapy. So if you want that, if they want to see you perform, how can they follow you?
They can follow me on Facebook. I know it's for old people, but they're not going to find anything on Instagram. So Facebook, my name is AnneSophie Hoffman, and I think you're going to recognize me. I'm the blonde, tall girl. And I have 2 pages. The personal one is AnneSophie Hoffman. You can reach me there. And also AnneSophie Hoffman, singer and vocal coach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll look out for you on TikTok soon.
My husband, maybe the dogs before me.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Season 6 is sponsored by our good friends over at Eddie's New York Deli and Diner. If you are in Saigon, then make sure you go check them out. Tell them that 7 Million Bikes sent you in D1, D2 and the Takashimaya Mall until June 7th. Thanks very much for listening to this episode of 7 Million Bikes, a Vietnam podcast. Don't forget to subscribe from wherever you're listening from right now. Turn on the notifications as well so you never miss an episode. If you're new to the podcast, make sure you go back through. We got 5 seasons of amazing guests that you can listen to their stories as well. Please get in touch. I always love to hear from our listeners. It's one of the best things when I wake up in the morning and I open up Instagram or Facebook and I've had a message from someone telling me that they've been listening from America or Australia or anywhere in the world. So please let me know where you're listening from, or Vietnam as well, obviously. I always love to hear from people. If you do enjoy this content, you can support 7 Million Bikes of Vietnam podcast on Patreon. The link is in the show notes. You can become a member of a Vietnam podcast and get access to exclusive member benefits like free tickets to comedy shows or even a free 7 Million Bikes t-shirt as well. So check that out in the show notes, as I said. And you can also buy me a coffee or a beer if you want on coffee.com. So make sure you check that out. So thanks again for listening. Really hope you enjoy season 6 and you can stay tuned for the future episodes. Cheers.
Hột gà nướng, hột vịt lộn, hột vịt sữa, trứng cút lộn, mất xào đây. Mất xào đây.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're like me, you may use your laptop at places where you have to use public Wi-Fi. This opens you up to digital snoopers. It's a massive problem. It can be your internet service provider, or you know who, looking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal trying to steal your bank passwords or credit card info, or even a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. These days, it is vital that you keep your data safe. NordVPN keeps all of these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites that are phishing for your data, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. And it's easy to use, even I could use it. I've actually been using NordVPN for years now here in Vietnam, and I'm excited to be an affiliate partner with them. I've used NordVPN to watch Netflix, BBC, Disney Plus with ease. And I also know that my information and data are safe from prying eyes, whoever they may be. Join now and you'll get 68% off and 3 months free when you go to my link, nordvpn.com/SMB. Just again, for those hard of hearing, nordvpn.com/SMB. The link is also in the show notes. I know nobody checks them out, but go check that out and you can get the link from wherever you're listening to this podcast. As an affiliate partner, it also means that I will get a small commission when you sign up, but at no extra cost to you. So not only will you be getting a great deal through 7 Million Bikes, you get a great VPN and you'll be supporting 7 Million Bikes podcast. Stay safe online and enjoy the shows you love. Any questions, just let me know. You know how to get in touch with me. And thanks for listening to this show. Cheers.